You know, when you were telling the story that you have this project with GDEC with that weird name about the OK players.
Project Gretsky.
Yes, that one.
Yes.
I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, this sounds so cool. The idea of not focusing where the OK ball, whatever is his name is, but where it's going to be. And I was thinking about that. I was like, I'd like to think that that's my mindset. And then I realized that I had a confusion about that. I realized the moment that I start to think, because I realized that's something very useful for like for a business, like realizing, okay,
Sure.
if I can have an idea of what is going to be the future trend, I'm going to be there in advance. But then I realize when I try to do that, I get a little bit frustrated because I'm trying to predict the future. And in the moment I do that, I realize I want to be right. I get pissed all the time that I try to predict the future and things they just don't go my way. And I started to just stop trying to do that because I was getting a bit anxious. But then when you mentioned that project, I realized how can I'm pretty sure there is a fine distinction about the two things. I'm trying putting together, I have a feeling I'm putting together two different things. Predicting the future, but it's not what you're doing with that project. And I just wanted some clarity about this.
Well, I just love the question, Andrea. And the thing I love about it, one of the things I love about it, I love a lot of things about it. One of the things I love about it is I've never thought about this before. And no, I really haven't. And yet it's something that's so central to how I live and how I think about things. And of course, like I like to be right about like, because basically a whole bunch of my life and all of our lives, really, one way or another, we're making bets about the future, right? Like, I give you, I'll start with an example you've heard me talk about before. In 2009, I got interested in these principles. I thought there's something interesting here. And then in June of that year, I had an insight and I was like, oh, these principles are the future of psychology. And I just started making bets about the future. So, okay, this is the way it's going. And the funny thing is, so I want to tell you a story, if I may. I've got this book. I may even have it here. We do. Oh man, there's a huge stack of books here that might fall over at any minute. So this guy, Rick Warren, wrote a huge book in the US that sold it sold 18 million copies or something, called The Purpose-Driven Life. It was a huge book. It's a Christian book, and Rick Warren is a church pastor, and his book was about bringing Christian values into, and of course, Christianity is massive in the USA. So, and it was, I guess, a book that people liked. So he sold 18 million copies or some massive number of copies. Anyway, someone can Google how many copies The Purpose-Driven Life sold. And his main job wasn't as an author. His main job was he was a pastor at a church. He was a church leader. And he had this huge church called Saddleback Church in California. And I'm going to read to you from this book because I was in a shop, and a bookshop years ago. Like when did this come out? This book was released in 1995. 1995, and I've had it for a long time. Like if you could see it, this is dog-eared, and it's got, highlighter and writing on the pages. And I like made notes like years ago, like check this out. Make 3P like Intel inside. You know, on stickers, when you like Intel Inside on computers, when they had Intel chips, I thought, imagine if companies that were using this understanding had like principles inside, like they had that. So these are just ideas that came to me as I was reading it. Anyway, so again, so as is typical for me, Andrea, the notes and highlighters, they run out at about 50 pages into the book. So I got, my last underline is on page 48. The last thing I underlined was, the truth is you won't grow large if that is all you care about. And that's important. Okay. Okay. And then I didn't get any further with it. I must finish that one day, and I've never finished it. But the most useful thing I got from this book, I got from the very first page. So listen to this. Can I read this to you, Andrea?
Sure.
So he said, Southern California is well known for its beaches. It's the part of the country that popularized the music of the Beach Boys, beach party movies, and of course, surfing. Although the surfing fad has evolved into skateboarding for most American kids who have no surf, the real sport is still popular in Southern California. Many of our schools offer physical education courses in surfing. If you take a class on surfing, you'll be taught everything you need to know about surfing: how to choose the right equipment, how to use it properly, how to recognize a surfable wave, how to catch a wave and ride it as long as possible, and most important of all, how to get off a wave without wiping out. But you'll never find a course that teaches how to build a wave. Surfing is the art of riding waves that God builds. God makes the waves. Surfers just ride them. No surfer tries to create waves. If the waves aren't there, you just don't surf that day. On the other hand, when surfers see a good wave, they make the most of it, even if that means surfing in the middle of a storm. A lot of books and conferences on church growth fall into the how to build a wave category. They try to manufacture the wave of God's Spirit using gimmicks, programs, or marketing techniques to create growth. But growth cannot be produced by man. Only God makes the church grow. Only God can breathe new life into a valley of dry bones. Only God can create waves, waves of revival, waves of growth, and waves of spiritual receptivity. So it looks to me, Andrea, it looks to me that like what I'm doing is I'm like waxing my surfboard and I'm paddling out into the water and I'm waiting for waves, and I spot a wave and I try and get on that wave. And it's mostly, I'm not predicting the future. I'm catching a wave. So when I saw, oh, this is the future of psychology, I'm like, this is a wave. I literally called up my office. I'm like, we're changing direction. This wave's rolling through. When I got a hit that I just got a hit that people were going to move to video conferencing. It was just because digital technology is just inevitable, that Zoom and all this sort of stuff. It's like, of course. Well, that's a wave. That's a wave that you can see rolling through society. So I'm like, oh, well, let's catch that wave. But here's the thing. I do all kinds of things that are too early or too late, or I fall off and bump my head or that sort of thing. Like there's a thing called survivorship bias, which is the stuff that people notice, the stuff that people remember is mostly the stuff that works. They don't notice all the waves that I didn't catch, or that I fell off, or that I bumped my nose and got a bloody nose or whatever. And it's not even, it's funny, and I won't go into any detail about this, but in stuff that's going on in the stock markets and all that sort of stuff, I'm making big bets on stuff, but I don't know what's going to happen. Like, who knows? It's the stock market. Are you kidding? I know jack shit about it. I'm like, I don't know. I've got a feeling. Let's try this and see what happens. But I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. And I'd love to be right. But maybe this is the thing that, like, I would love to be right about everything. Okay. But I know that I'm going to be okay whether I'm right or not. And I know that, but what that means is I can place a bet, whether it's on the principles, or whether it's on video conferencing, or whether it's on, like, all these years that I've been saying no to creating a Clarity app. Everyone's, why aren't you creating an app? It's not time. There's no wave. Like, everyone's, but you should make an app. It's like, why would I want to make an app when there's no wave? It's like, you should get out and get on your surfboard. It's great time to be on a surfboard. It's like, there's no wave, man. There's no wave. It's like, there may be waves for everyone else. There's not a wave for me on that one until there is. And then Halo comes along and I'm like, here's our wave. We got to work fast. Here it is. Here it is. But I could be wrong about that. Like, it's at the moment, that wave's just a pleasant chat wave. And me talk, like, I'm talking to you guys about it, but who knows what's going to happen? Like, it'll do something or it won't, but it's a wave. And it's the same with, like I said, stock market. It's a wave. But I'm happy to ride it all the way, or I'm happy to, like, crash into the reef. Like, I'm okay either way, because they know it's not down to me. It's not down to me. I can do my bit, which is trying to balance on the surfboard and making sure I've, done my exercises so my legs are strong, and I've got, something sticky on my feet so I stay on the board. But that's about all I can do. I can't decide what the wave does. I can't make the wave go somewhere it's not going to go. It's so much bigger than me. It's so much bigger than me. Like, and Andrea, no one can predict the future. No one can predict the future. But that's the cool thing. Like, I don't know much about surfing, by the way, but I just I look at when people, have you ever seen those videos of people surfing those massive waves where they have to get towed onto it, like with a jet ski? They get towed out onto these waves. I watch those and I'm like, they don't know what's going to happen. Like, it's so, like, any of those waves could be the last wave they ever ride, right? Like, that could end them. It's like huge, but they're living life. They're living life. And, like, I'm not sure that the purpose of life is to be right. I think the purpose of life is to live, is to be alive, and to to throw yourself into the adventure of it. You know, I shared a video the other day. Me and Michael Neal and Garrett Kramer did a workshop and a talk in New York a couple of years ago called Getting in the Game. And we did this webinar just kind of talking about what we were going to be doing. And where we started was we each kind of said what getting in the game meant to us. And I went first. And I said what getting in the game meant to me and what the inspiration for the talk and the workshop was. And I said it, and it just sounded all wrong. It was rubbish. It was just terrible. I was like, oh my God, I wouldn't go to that workshop. That was terrible. And then Garrett said something good, and Michael said something good. And I was sitting there going, man, that was, I'm glad I'm not talking anymore. And then it just hits me. It just hits me like, oh, I know what I should have said. And so I go, I've just realized what I should have said. It's this. It's like getting in the game is going to life. It's going, show me the way. I'm up for it. I'm gonna fucking go for it. And it might be scary and I might get smashed up a bit. And but I'm in, I'm up for it. Show me the way. I'm in for this adventure. Let's do this. Let's do this. And it might be scary and it might be exciting and it might be thrilling and it who knows what it's going to be, but I'm up for it. Show me the way. That's, to me, Andrea, that's different from knowing how it's going to turn out or that you chose right. Cause like it's not me choosing. It's not me choosing. It's me asking to be shown the way and recognizing that like, it's not this little personality, Jamie sock puppet, you know, doing this. It's like to whatever extent possible. It's like, being a conduit for life, you know. Man, I'm just going on. What are you hearing, Andrea? What's landing for you, man?
I feel the difference now. What you shared, especially the metaphor of the wave, it just hit me because I realized one thing. This is not predicting the future. The wave is in the present moment. The wave in the present moment, it's there.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that if I'm gonna catch a wave, I definitely want to be in the present moment, not just being my mind and just trying to, oh, I wonder, because I will just lose it or fall off.
Yeah.
And so I was like, whoa, now it seems like the most natural thing to me. And I realized one thing. I realized, whoa, I remember like I've been trapped in the past on the trap of trying to be right to the point that that was not serving me. It was actually making me suffer in a certain moments. And somehow I attached that to the trying to be right when I predict the future. And then I was like, okay, everything that is future related is not for me. It's not for me. I'm just gonna stay away from it. But that's not it. And then I realized also, just because in the past I was confused about something, that doesn't mean that I'm gonna be confused about that now.
Yeah.
And while predicting the future is something that it sounded to me like I'm not good doing that, so why should I try? Catching a wave sounds like I'm up for it. Sounds like a lot of fun. So it really helped.
Oh, good. I loved what you said. The wave is in the present. Yeah, the wave is in the present. And man, you gotta be in the present too, or else it'll have its way with you. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. I just love your question, man. It's yeah. I love it. I've never thought about it and I love it.